Trina from John's Furniture Repair, and today I've got an exciting video for you. It's actually part of a 5-channel competition. We've decided to get together as the restoration community on YouTube and do a little friendly competition. So I'm gonna have 5 or 4 other channels linked in the description below for their competition videos. And our goal is to restore chairs that need quite a bit of help, so interesting repairs. So the other channels that I've watched before and I really love them and I'm happy to be working with them are AT Restoration. He's got an amazing channel that does a crazy amount of restoration on really broken stuff. Fixing Furniture, super educational, and we've had Scott on our channel and he's had us on his channel recently and before. Transcend Furniture, my other Canadian restoration artist, she's part of this as well, and I'm so happy to be working with her. Shigron Restoration, who does amazing work as well, and our channel. So 5 channels together doing restorations on very broken chairs that we could find to do this with. And I've got a humdinger here, and it's gorgeous. And this chair here, I'm calling Frankenstein because it has like 5 different eras styled into one chair and a bunch of things that have happened to it in the meantime. But I'm excited to be doing this competition. The other videos for this competition from the other channels will be in the description linked there, so you can go watch those and see how they do. Basically just whoever gets the most views wins, but I think everybody's winning when we get together and do these kinds of things. So let's show you some details on this squeaky old bentwood hand caned rocker, swivel rocker, I guess. It's not really it is a rocker, but it is a lot of work and it's very interesting, and let me show you some details. Let's get to it. After growing up in my dad's restoration shop and learning everything he knows, I'm continuing on with the business in my own shop, and after 25 years, I can truly say I love this job and I just have to share it with you. Whether it's a priceless 300-year-old hand-carved piece of history or just an ordinary table or dresser, I pour my heart into each and every piece a customer brings me. I'm Trina, and this is John's Furniture Repair. Okay, so first off, you notice hand woven cane has failed. So this is quite a lengthy situation that we're going to have to be doing. And I don't leave myself a lot of time for these restorations sometimes. So we need to get this all out of here and reweave. You can see on the other side of the frame, comes right through. Each strand is woven individually. Now, do I ever miss my friend Laura right now? If you guys know who I'm talking about, you know. Anyways, she's all the way back in Ontario, so I've got to take care of myself here in Saskatchewan. Then we've got a very interesting leather seat that was put on after the fact. If you look on the edge here, you can see the cane holes that still exist. So this was a addition after quite a long time ago though, so it's quite weathered and old. So it's got like a Victorian canework with a bentwood design, and then it's got metal, a lot of really interesting blacksmith work, all handmade blacksmith work, and then almost like an Eastlake design on the legs. So I'm calling this Frankenstein because it's got so many different design elements all smushed into one chair that I really can't point my finger on what this thing's trying to be. So basically we're just going to be cleaning up the woodwork, and we are going to have to replace some casters that are supposed to be on these feet. We're going to be taking it apart, and you know, there's a lot of damage on the back woodwork here, lots of scrapes and stuff, so we'll need to do some refinishing. The arms are pretty bad as well. So I might just do a very light, gentle refinish. The most of the work will be on, obviously, the weaving of the seat and the back. So that's going to be the tricky part. And then just getting everything to work nice and smoothly again. Really interesting details there. So first things first, I'm going to, like I always do, get this thing apart. I want to split the seat so I can weave this separately from the whole back piece. I think it would be easier to weave the back piece while it's on the chair, but the seat, no, we need to take that off. And I'll just split everything up and start stripping it down, getting it ready for finishing so we can have it ready for when all of the supplies for the caning show up. So hopefully soon, because I really did not leave myself a lot of time. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so this whole top section here is attached with 2 big screws back here that come through the bottom. And then these bolts right here, and they're supposed to be carriage bolts. Someone put this one upside down at some point. It's supposed to kind of look like this guy here. So we're just gonna get this apart. They're not too bad. Always a little stiffer at the end where it rests. It looks like a screw also comes in from the bottom here. And I don't know if that's original or if that's something that someone's put on at some point. There we go. And just pop that down. This will go into vinegar as well because everything on this chair is rusty. Okay, so that arm is loose and this arm is attached right here, and I can see a nail that comes through on the front here, but also there's a couple of pretty big dowels back here. So I'm going to try to pop those, but I'm probably just going to drill them out because they're countersunk, so there's not much I can do about that. I'll put new ones in though, no problem. Okay, and I'll just get a chisel and get the rest of that wood out of the way. Always fun working on a swivel. Here we go. I can kind of see the slotted screw there. With slotted screws, it's always most important to have that slot nice and clean so you can fully seat your screwdriver into the screw, or else you do cam out very easily on those. It's very tight. There we go. All right, so we got one arm off, and I am going to, when I look at the bottom of this, it looks like that screw that was, if you can see it just below there, sticking out of the seat. Right here, looks like it wasn't doing much. It looks like it just bore a big hole right there. I don't know if that's really something that should be back. I think this is the only point that should be attached to the chair, if you ask me. So I'll get the other side off same way, and then we'll think about getting these 2 screws out. All right, so I've got all of the screws off except for one right here, and I've tried just about everything to get it off. Gonna have blisters if I try any harder. I've tried heat, penetrating fluid, fire, smacking, impact, everything. It's not working. So I'm gonna have to, good thing it's just one, because I can turn the whole top off of the screw instead of taking the screw out. But to do that, I need to turn it this way, and this leather's in the way. So we're gonna cut this off so we can do that. And I'm just gonna undercut the whole thing. There we go. It's kind of a cool fix. And they did these leather straps underneath too. I don't hate it. It's just not what the chair is supposed to be, so I always like to try to turn things back the way they were in the first place. There, so now we have to actually turn this chair off of this screw, because that's the only way I'm ever going to get it out. Damaging the wood too much. There we go. The hole's still in good condition. And yeah, that screw is just super rusted. Hopefully I can pop it out with the hammer now. But I don't want to, I'm gonna get this seat off of this metal base so I can put this on a hard surface to hit against, because it's very stubborn. I don't want it to do anything. Now, these guys look equally as rusty, but I can at least get a wrench on it, which is a bit better than a slotted screwdriver. When you've got a big rusty screw with a slotted head, it's often pretty difficult. And we'll give this beautiful blacksmithing all a nice cleanup as well. And then it looks like there's just, oh no, that's just a stop for where it ends. So now I just gotta pop this guy off of the frame. And there it is. This piece is in really good shape. When I'm looking at reweaving something, the joinery and everything, it looks great, and the holes are not overly cracked. Sometimes on these hand-woven pieces, this whole area will split because of the tension in on the seat, but I see nothing like that going on. So that's really good. We're gonna be able to save that. And this piece is looking great other than needing a good clean. And it does tighten, and we'll give it a good grease as well. So there's a couple of slotted screws here. I'm gonna see if I can get those out, and then the mechanism is free. I'd love to find a maker's mark on this thing, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna do some research. Sometimes these pieces are just made by somebody, and sometimes they're from a very old craftsman. it doesn't look like it's from around here. Saskatchewan never had really sophisticated furniture other than what people could bring from different places. But I do have a place in my heart for the simplicity of the pioneer furniture that exists in this area. And you're gonna see a lot more of that now that we're back here in Saskatchewan versus Ontario. In Windsor area, we got a lot of older pieces that were from all over the world, just because it's a port city and it was a lot easier to get things to your place if you were on the water back in the day. Saskatchewan is very much landlocked. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn that all the way out. There we go. Gears are in really good shape. We'll give everything a nice scrub and a grease. This will look really nice. It's a really beautiful handmade piece of blacksmithing here. Little springs are in great condition. Really nice. Just put that over there. And yeah, this plate should come off. You gotta take off the bottom first, and then this plate here holds all the legs together. And it's missing a few screws, which is kind of lending itself to that floppiness here. Hopefully these aren't too rusty and I can get them out. And I'm just going to mark where each leg goes, because sometimes the spacing on the screws is different because this is a handmade bracket. Okay, so I've got the seat all free and clear of the chair, and first things first, we need to get out the old cane that's still stuck in all of the grooves, or the holes, sorry. So I'm going to go ever so slightly larger with my drill bit because I'm going to be using the tuck in method from the back, so I really want a little bit of extra space to do that with. So each hole, I'm just going to go around the whole thing, get out that old cane, and take off a little bit of the hole, widening that diameter a little bit. So that's gonna allow me to make a clean tuck in, and I'll show you what I mean later. So just gonna put you on time lapse and go around the whole thing because that's fun. All right, so everything turned out good. Got everything all cleaned out. I got a couple of these pins that were on the back that I ran into. I didn't see before. Looks like they were kind of holding things together at a certain point. I'm not sure why they exist. I'm not sure if I need to put them back. So I'll keep them with the rest of the hardware. There was two of them, they look handmade. Now there is this area at the very back here. I'm going to shove some epoxy in here and clamp this because it is a little bit taken off on me there. But other than that, everything's in really good condition. So, got some epoxy mixed up here. And then I can re-drill those holes. From the back and have it all nice and flat. It's not really coming apart, it's just cracked and dry split over the years. This area is kind of let go a little bit. But I will clamp it just to get it back in a little bit. Couple of clamps and pop it on. Oh yeah, that is moving quite a bit. Just gonna make sure my epoxy is really fed into there, because that looks like I could definitely get it to come back together. Okay, so I'll put a clamp on both sides. There we go. so I'll let that dry and then we can drill out those holes again. I think everything else is good, so I'll put that aside. So got a couple pieces stripped. I'm gonna take apart this back. And before I always do that, if it's still together, this one's kind of half together, I just make a note where they ran their first vertical, horizontal, because sometimes when you have a weird shaped seat or a back, they'll skip a hole and start just to straighten things out. But on this one, it looks like they've pretty much used every hole. They didn't skip any horizontal or vertical. And I checked the diagonal as well, and it doesn't really look like they've skipped a whole lot. So you can kind of see how it's pulling a little bit in this area. That's kind of why they skip a hole, so that they can straighten things out. But it doesn't look bad this way either. So I'm just going to cut this away first so it's in my way. And then I'm going to start pulling the binder cane off. And the binder cane is the border cane that's weaved in and stitched in. You can see at the end of everything, you put this last strip over top of everything, and then you weave it through the holes as well. I'll just cut through the back with the drill bit. Seems like the easiest way to do. And I'll just continue all around the chair. Alrighty, so we've got this thing all cleaned up. So I'm going to strip off what's left of the finish. And mostly this back edge here's got quite a bit of splinters and scrapes and scratches. Most of everything else is in good shape for weaving though. The actual frame for weaving is really good. All right, so I've got all these legs stripped and I'm just doing quite a bit of sanding. If you can look closely, the oak is prone to pitting like this when it's quite old. So there's a lot of deep grooves where all the soft grain has been pitted out of these pieces over the years. So for one, I'm trying to get the profile back of this angular design, and then two, just kind of smooth out the surface. So I'm using the Fest tool to start with the sanding pretty heavy, first of all. And then I will putty areas, because I don't want to sand all the way down. I don't want to lose the profiles. But I'm just sanding that surface quite a bit to smooth it off, and then we'll putty anything that's deeper than I want to go. But you can see on this edge here, there's a lot of wood missing, chunks, big deep pits in here and stuff like that. So I'm going to be sanding those pretty heavily, and then going around with quite a bit of putty, and then hand sanding with 180 to finish everything off. Okay, so I've got the seat all sanded up, and I did that repair with the epoxy here in the back, but there's still some movement even though we've got that solid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting a couple of 1/4-inch dowels, and they're going to almost fit in between the holes for the caning, but we will have to drill those holes out again. But it's just not enough glue surface, especially because, and this happens often with these types of seats, where you have holes drilled all around the perimeter and you just don't have a lot of strength left, and when things start pulling, they give way, and this little area is not a lot to have for a glue surface. So we're just going to give it some pinning with some dowels. I'll probably do at least 3 on each side, because this seems to be a stress point. And then that should, once that's dry, we'll drill those holes out. That should be strong. All right, so I've got this back all hand sanded with 180, really making sure to soften those edges that the cane will be kind of pressing up against. That's a really important thing if you're recaning, is to just kind of chamfer and soften those edges, make sure there's nothing sharp that can damage your new weave. So I'm going to be using a a color I've used a bunch of other times, and it doesn't exist anymore. Varathane made this gel stain, special walnut gel stain. It doesn't exist in the gel stain anymore, and I really like this color. So I think I have enough to do this chair. It's just a really soft, light, warm brown. And I think it's going to be a perfect color for this. Be nice if my brush fit in here. Kind of like it was. And we do have quite a few repairs and putty marks, so we'll be using some touch-ups and a little bit of tint as well. So this will just be where we start. So that's the color that we're going to be going for on everything, just like it was. And hopefully I'm going to get this thing in stain so I can spray it tomorrow. My cane did arrive today, so we will be off to the races. All right, so I've done the repair on the back here. You can see this is pretty much all epoxy right here. All this wood was torn out and missing, so I really didn't have an option to glue it back together because there wasn't anything there. But this is going to be a nice strong bond here now, and we just drilled through so that the top has a bit of epoxy too. There are a few little chunks of wood I'm going to putty up. Pulled out a nail, some wood missing, and just make sure that's all nice before we stain it. Around the perimeter of the whole thing, there's kind of a couple of those things going on. So I'm just going to get some putty on it, some wood filler. I'm just going to be using Timbermate. And we'll just kind of clean up the surface, get it all filled. You got to pre-finish these pieces before you weave them because the caning process introduces quite a bit of moisture. So you want to have your wood covered up and sealed before. And plus you can just finish it a lot easier when you don't have the cane on there, because I don't want to stain the cane. We're going to leave that natural. So I'll go around the piece and fill all those holes and then let that dry. We have all the legs under putty. So these are ready for sand. I just did a pretty heavy sand on these guys, and we'll finish it up with a 180 hand sand on everything. And this is an interesting situation. So I don't have casters. It didn't come with casters. And this is a very small, shallow leg. So what I've opted to do, and the customer can change this if they want, but on an office chair, you kind of want casters so you can move it around. So I'm going to be popping on these round casters with a screw plate because the post is way too short to put something in there. I haven't been able to find something that works. This isn't ideal, but it's removable if we can find something later on. So these guys are just kind of in an antique brass, other than the plate here, which I might paint out. And this ball is really nice on floors as well, so you don't have to worry about scraping when you're moving back and forth in your office chair. So it'll be a good option for functionality. Maybe not the best for antique restoration case, but it'll be a really functional wheel. So that's what we're going to put on. I just had these in the shop here, and if we find something later, we can change it up for something a little bit more period specific. But it is, most of the posts for casters are over 1.5 inches long, even longer, and we just don't have that much space here to pop in a caster. I haven't been able to find one. Some of them have screw plates that just do also screw onto the bottom of this, but I haven't been able to find one that I really like. So I'm going to leave it up to them. As well, we've got the arms all puttied up here, really deep pitting on the surface. Basically just did a whole fill on that, so we're going to need to do a lot of sanding on these yet. Obviously hand sanding all in here. You saw me going with the sander on these to start, just to get down to some fresh wood because they were very weather beaten as well. So everything else will be hand sanding, and yeah, then we can get the stain on everything and get ready for some weaving. Okay, so I am ready to spray. I've got the arms hung up because they're a really odd shape. So we'll just spray those hanging, and then the seat and these little pieces, switch out with the back and the legs. So I did actually also clean the metalwork here, so I'm going to give that a spray. It was painted with a black paint, so I'll redo that, and then it'll be all ready to go as well. So yeah, everything's looking really good, stained up really nice. You can see how much nicer those toes are looking after they were so porous and beat up. And yeah, got this all fixed up. This was probably the worst piece. Looking a little bit weird. Did have to put a lot of pegging and epoxy. So we'll be doing some shading and some tinting as well, just to make things blend in. But I think we are almost there. I'm gonna be having a weaving party with my mom this weekend to get this all done. So it's nice to have family to help. So let's get some lacquer on this stuff. Well, it's a beautiful day in my house, and here we are with the pieces. My mom will be here shortly. She's going to help do the weaving. We've got the back attached to a temporary chair to work on it, and this I've just got attached to a couple of 2x4s through the mounting holes so she can get her hand underneath. With an adjustable chair, we've got our 1,000 Hank foot reed here. Got some soaking ready to go. And yeah, we are just going to be doing this from my beautiful house. It's a very sunny, gorgeous day on the property today. And it's the weekend, so I brought this home so we could sit and just enjoy the process, which is so important when you have something a little bit arduous to do. Just enjoy the process. But yeah, this is my living room with my big green couch and my pink wall and my gorgeous view. And it's gonna be a good day. It's a gorgeous morning for a weave, just not this one. It's the wrong size. You guys, I spent 10 hours on this weave and my mom spent hours on that seat, and it's the wrong size. There's no way another 2 strands are gonna fit and make a diagonal pattern. I did a measurement, it was the wrong measurement. I ordered the wrong thickness of cane, and I gotta start all over again. I thought you might enjoy this. As much as I'm enjoying this. Anyways, it was a really great practice round. What am I doing, Nathan? Okay, back at square one on both pieces. Got the right size cane soaking. I've got my hank stretched out there, relaxing. I've got another one here ready to go when that one's done. So I'm gonna put on, I don't know, a good podcast. And I'm just gonna get to it and forget that that all ever happened. So I'm working here. It's really important to keep your cane wet. So I just got a spray bottle of water here. The other really important thing to do is to make sure your dog is watered. So we just, make sure once in a while we give the dog some water so it doesn't dry out and crack like the cane. Alrighty, so I've got the back done, the seat done after so many hours of painstaking weaving. I got no fingertips left. Now, because it was so much work, I'm going to light it on fire. Just kidding. A lot of caners say will never do this, and to them I say, then don't. I'm going to, because the little hairs on this piece are pretty crazy and they're everywhere. I don't know if you can really see them on camera, but a lot of the little pieces that stick up here just get cleaned up with the fire. And if you want to curse my name for doing this after spending 80 hours on the weave, go ahead. It's my own mistakes. So I'm just going to take a torch and I'm going to keep the flame moving across the piece. And you're going to see as it moves across the piece, little flames kind of pipe up. And that is the little hairs burning here. And don't worry, I have a trained professional watching over me. So just watch closely as I move across the piece, as the little hairs kind of light on fire there. And I'm just going to keep the flame moving, and I'm going to watch the little flames to make sure none of them get out of hand. I'm gonna go over it a few times, just moving back and forth until not a lot kind of lights on fire there. And we are drier in Saskatchewan, so I'm gonna move a little faster than we do in Windsor. Give it a nice toast. So I am just going to let this cane age naturally. Not going to be doing any color. So my weaver friends will be proud of me there. I'm just going to use a nice beeswax polish on the whole thing. Yep. My dad's going to turn it around for me there so I can do the back. Just going to clean up the look and the feel of the whole thing. And before I did this, I did put a 320 sand over it. Okay, so I've got the seat fired as well, and I'm just going to be using the Howard's beeswax and polish to moisturize. And it will protect a little bit from abrasion and give it a little bit of some moisturization, but not a sealant. So I'm just going to rub it in with my hands pretty generously because I'm going to let it soak up. And the owners can reapply a wax or an oil once in a while, or just leave it. It's also important to clean your cane once in a while with a vacuum. You don't want a lot of dirt building up, especially along the edges, because that can actually damage your weave. So a nice clean, even some like Murphy's oil soap to clean the surface if it gets dirty. This will help it. This beeswax will help something not to sink in as well for a little while, as long as it's kept up. If you spill your wine on this or something, it'll be just a little bit more stain resistant. So I'm going to do the bottom side as well, and then I'll do the same thing over there. Here it is, finished and looking fabulous. What a project, but what a result. This took me way too long, guys, but I'm really, really happy with the results. And it is shining once again. Not looking like a weird Franken chair, but now looking like it's supposed to, with the seat weaved and no more leather. Even though it was a good repair, I think this looks way better on the chair. So, check out my competitors' videos. I'm gonna have the link in the description below to go see those other restorations from all those other talented people. I'm sure they're all doing a great job. But thanks for watching this one, guys. And if you want to support this channel and help me make videos like this that you enjoy, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description below. And once again, just thank you for being here, being part of the restoration community, and enjoying these videos. Have a great day. Cheers.